Is it possible for a player who's around about top 1% in the world, that's me, to beat an F1 Esports driver in just one single corner? Well, today we're going to find out with the help of Lucas Blakeley, who's one of the very top F1 Esports drivers. And he sent me his hot lap around the Portimao circuit for Portugal. Now this follows me getting very, very close to the world record in Hungary. I was only about 2 or 3 tenths away or something like that from the world record. I was like, okay, great. I seem to have a good pace of this game. I wonder if I can match an esports driver in just a single corner. Well, today we're going to find out. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is just watch my hot lap. Now this lap was good for, I think it's about 68th in the world. It was my best lap. I spent about an hour or so doing this. And honestly, personally, I'm not a time trial driver. I don't enjoy driving time trial. But I powered through, lots and lots of frustration to get it done. If you want to see, by the way, highlights of me trying to set these times, they will be over on the Alex Gilling Gameplay YouTube channel. Link to that is down in the description. They'll be going out tomorrow. But yeah, so pretty solid lap overall. I was pretty happy with it. Definitely not perfect, don't get me wrong. There's a few more tenths in it, but it got to the point where the frustration was kind of not getting the better of me, but the frustration was building up, and it just felt like there was a bit of a plateau. So once I got this lap in here, I was like, okay, that's going to have to do me. That's pretty much as good as I can do for now. Also, it's about Portimao. Probably suits my style a bit less than other circuits. As I said, I managed to get within about 2 or 3 tenths of the world record at Hungary, which I was really, really happy with. Got to about 35 in the world or so at Hungary. But yeah, Portimao was a big old struggle for me, but I still feel like I'm pretty happy with the lap. Let me know what you guys think of this lap. Overall, I thought it was pretty solid. Obviously, you can see by the ghost ahead there, I didn't manage to beat Lucas Blakeley over the whole lap. That's not a surprise. And he is the world record holder as well, I should add. But yeah, I mean, solid lap. Honestly, I'm happy with it. You know, like I said, it's not perfect, but there's no big mistakes there. I felt like I drove pretty well, pretty quick. I'm happy enough with that one. But let's now do a side-by-side comparison of each corner against Lucas Blakeley to see if there's any single corners where we managed to beat him. Okay, so here we go then. An analysis of every single individual corner against the F1 Esports driver, Lucas Blakeley. Now, what we've done is we've synced these up at the start of the corner, and we're going to see if any single corners I managed to beat him with that lap versus his world record lap. So into turn one, as you can see, we're nicely synced up there onto the 100-meter board. Now, of course, you've got the graphs on the bottom there to show the braking points. We break at a pretty damn similar point, almost identical point, actually. Getting it all slowed down quite nicely, turning it in beautifully. I'm actually carrying more speed at this point, very, very similar. I'm actually carrying a bit more speed. I'm seeing him at 218 kilometers, whereas he's at 215. Carrying the speed in the best I possibly can. But then unfortunately he managed to he's the full throttle there, and I actually, that takes me a bit longer to get to full throttle. So we actually got more speed on the exit. There he's doing 230 kilometers an hour. I'm only doing 225 kilometers an hour. Now we do have different field of view, so you can't judge things at the side of the screen. You need to judge what's bang in the middle of the screen in order to see where we are. So if you look at where that the EA Sports logo is there, that roughly lines up to that line there. And same with here, and you can see there that he's this red bit here is this red bit here. So he's clearly not much, by about a curb's width or so ahead of me. So he's beaten me, unfortunately, in turn one. That's one I was struggling with quite a lot. Moving along to turn 2 then, which is completely flat out, but I still thought it might be an interesting comparison. That's about as close as I could get it lined up. Turning into the apex, obviously pretty much identical through here, but as you can see, somehow he still very, very slightly beats me. In fact, no, that is pretty much identical, but it is a flat out turn, so we'll pretty much ignore that one. On to turn 3 then. Once again, we got it perfectly synced up then, and getting it all slowed down, getting it turned in nicely, trying to carry some good speed. My minimum apex speed is actually a little bit better than his. I don't slow down quite so much as him, but what I do is I run a little bit deeper and I'm just a little bit wider. But again, very, very similar lines overall, I will say, through that particular turn. Obviously, we're about to go head up the hill there, but very, very similar overall. But as you can see, he does beat me by, again, maybe half a meter. It's nothing at all, but he does unfortunately beat me there. On to turn 4 then, which is almost flat. Once again, get nice and synced up as we cross that line there, as you can see there. Trying to get through here. You can't quite take this flat. You've got to take a decent lift. Again, pretty similar strat overall. He short shifts a bit earlier than me, but overall pretty similar strat. But as we're seeing, it's a bit of a trend here. He's always better than me on the exits. We see him almost identical on the corner entry, which is good news for my driving, but it's almost always on the exits that he's beating me. You can see him there pulling away once again. Just get to the line there, and you can see he is just a touch ahead of us. Not by a huge amount again. What's that? Maybe, again, half a meter. A tiny bit, but once again, a little bit quicker than me through turn 4. Skipping the straight then and moving on to turn 5. Once again, we've got this nice and synced up here, as you can see. Hitting the brakes pretty much at the same point there, pretty much the same frame. Hard on the brakes all over the curb, trying to get it all slowed down. I actually turned it a bit earlier than him. I wasn't so confident about getting the car stopped. And once again, we see him actually take a bit less speed at the apex. My minimum corner speed is actually, well, certainly it happens later on in the corner than him. Round the exit as well, just getting on the exit. Once again, it's all about the exit. He just stands on throttle. A bit harder to compare here, but the best way to compare is this skid mark here, which I'm hoping you can just about see with the bit rate. But there's a skid mark there that comes onto the curb, so that's the way to judge it. So there we go. This curb here is in line with that skid mark, and that is there. So he's actually quite a bit ahead of me in that one. Again, the traction zone was the biggest point that he gained time. Let's give me the next turn then, as it's completely flat, no issues with that. But coming into turn 7, once again, completely synced up here as we run through the turn. Pretty similar on the apex. He actually carries a bit more speed than me this time though, but I actually take a bit more curve than him. Not a huge amount more, but a bit more. Running through the turn, and once again, you can see, again, just judge on the skid marks here. So you can see that there's 2 lines here that come onto the track, which is these 2 here. He is just a touch ahead of me. Once again, not by a lot at all, but by, I mean, again, these are the skid marks here. So he's sort of here while I'm here. So again, about 2 curbs width, similar sort of amount, maybe about a metre or so in that one. On to the very, very tricky turn 8. So then once again, we're all synced up on the entrance to it, getting it turned in. And again, very, very similar lines, very similar speeding. But once again, we're seeing him slow down just a touch more before the apex. And he just gets a much better, he's full throttle there. I'm still waiting still waiting. Now I'm full throttle. So much, much more delayed. He's just so much more confident to stand on the throttle. Now, obviously, he does short shift a bit, which helps dull the power. But even so, he's just so much more confident on the power. And once again there, we can see by these curbs, he is just clearly ahead of me. Move on to turn line then, which is completely flat. This is about the only turn that I think I could possibly match him. Once again, look, we're nice synced up across that line there. Going through the absolutely flat out turn 9. And judge on the Visit Portugal sign there. Identical. Absolutely identical. So I did manage to match him in one turn, but it was a full throttle turn. But I guess we take that nonetheless. On to turn 10 then, which is very, very tricky. Once again, we got it all synced up across that line. But taking the really, really wide line. I'm actually a bit wider than him, interestingly. I really struggled for this one to get it rotated nicely. But he has a slightly better angle, I think. Through it takes a bit more curve than me. And again, just more confident on the power. Standing on the throttle on the exit. A little bit of oversteer. We both get still about to oversteer. Just judging on the grass here on the left-hand side. Once again, he is just a touch ahead of me there. Moving on to turn 12 then, once again. And again, nice to see it up there as we go through the first part of the corner. Obviously, this one is also absolutely flat out. So unsurprisingly, we see each other be pretty much matched there. Although he actually still somehow managed to beat me slightly through there. Must have had a bit better apex speed. Yes, he has. He's only about 1 kilometre an hour faster, but just a tiny bit faster off the previous corner, which allowed him to go faster through that flat out turn. On to turn 13 then, and once again, nice to synced up as we cross this line here. Again, hitting the brakes at an absolutely identical point, really interestingly. Getting it all stopped really, really nicely. Again, very, very similar line to those, but he takes a tiny bit more curb and running it through. He definitely uses more curb on the outside. I wasn't so confident to go out as wide as that. And once again, there you can see, just by judging on this bit of Astro stuff here, he is once again just ahead of me. Primarily on the exit, I believe. I mean, let's judge it on the apex a bit more here. So, yeah, I mean, look at that. This yellow curb here, almost exactly identical. Unfortunately, it's hard with this split screen to judge it exactly. Yeah, it's just all on the exit once again. Moving on to turn 14 then. So he's much more aggressive, swinging across the track as he had that wide line before, and we're all synced up here, as you can clearly see. He actually made a bit of a mistake here. When he tweeted about it, he said, oh, this was the only corner I made a mistake in. Neither of us quite meet our apex as we'd like to, but I'm a bit more on the apex than him. But even so, as you can see by this white line, he still beats me by the tiniest amount. I mean, we're pretty much identical there, to be honest, but I still don't manage to beat him. One more turn then, which is a completely flat out turn 15. Once again, we got it all synced up, as you can judge by that white line on the left-hand side there. Absolutely flat free, taking over the curve for the shortest possible run. It looks like I actually have a slight advantage over here. I'm doing 281 kilometers now. He's only doing 279, but he just holds a tighter line, and that allows him to, unfortunately, just get, again, a very slightly better run than me, and he crosses the line before me. So, there you go then, guys. I didn't manage to beat Lucas Blakeley in a single corner, unfortunately. Not one single corner was I faster than him, despite my best lap after an hour of practice. I will say he did spend 2 hours on it, but of course he spent many, many hours before that perfecting his style. And I just saw there, almost all of it, for me personally at least, was on the power, on the exits and the turns. He's just so much more confident to stand on the throttle, and he's making almost all of it on the exits. We brake at the exact same point. Often, he's a bit slower before the apex. I think that's to prioritise the exit. So I think for me, the lesson from this is to prioritise my exits more than the entrance. But even so, you think certain corners, maybe I'll be able to be better than him? No, not at all. Every single corner, he was faster than me, unfortunately. So we're going to play that through now then at absolutely full speed. So no stops here, no edits. We're just going to play it through at full speed, side by side, without resyncing it, so you get an idea for exactly how much quicker he was. And again, it doesn't look too crazy different left to right here. You know, again, we're braking at similar sort of points, getting it all stopped nice enough, and The lines, again, are all very, very similar for the most part. Occasionally, there's a little difference with the line. But for the most part, they're all very, very similar. Taking the curve on the right-hand side here, braking super late. You can see now he's starting to stretch ahead. You can see visually just reaching his apexes slightly before me and getting on the exit course better. And of course, you've got the ghost on the right-hand side there as well, just to give you an idea exactly where he's at. And again, it's just slowly creeping ahead. You saw there, no major, there was not like a single corner, which is kind of what's more annoying for me. If there was one corner, one particular thing I was doing badly, I'll be like, yes, okay, I'll fix that. And although it's the corner exits, easier said than done to be like, oh, no worries, I'll just get better exits then. Not as easy as that, unfortunately, but as you see, just every single corner is just a bit better than me. Just what? I don't know, 5% better than me through every single corner. Maybe not as much as that, but 1 or 2% is better than me through every single corner. I couldn't even beat him in one single corner, and that is the level needed to be an F1 Esports driver then. Well guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully give you some insight into possibly what makes esports drivers so good. And as I said, normally I'm sort of top 1% or so on the leaderboards. I'm normally able to get to, you know, around about top 100 in the world. So, you know, I've been pretty quick on this game, but even then, just still can't match an esports player. They are absolutely on another level. Anyway guys, don't forget to subscribe if you're new. As I mentioned as well, do go and subscribe to the Alex Gillen Gameplay YouTube channel, because the highlights of me trying to get these times on stream will be over there tomorrow. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.